Hey guys, what are you doing today? So in today's video we'll talk about Wales versus Ireland within the Six Nations for round 1. So this is a huge match in a sense. Obviously it's the round 1, it'll be played within Wales, so obviously Wales will have home advantage, which is kind of big for them in the sense where if you look at the previous competition within the Autumn Nations, Ireland were, the better team in that competition due to standings. So yeah, Wales will definitely be happy with that, obviously. And this will be a good game. Obviously, both sides will want to win this. It's round 1, so both sides will definitely want to win the first game and get off to a good start. So just when you look at the lineups here, obviously, there is some switches to the sides, which is kind of interesting. I'd say, obviously, I wouldn't say these two sides are really lacking in injuries compared to a lot of other sides. But, there are some key players who are missing out in this match. So, when you look at, obviously, within Wales first, with their team, they have Wyn Jones, obviously, within the props as their number 1, and Thomas Francis, who makes up the other. Yeah, that's a pretty good prop combination, I'd say, for Wales. But then when you actually look at Ireland, though, they have Cian Healy and Andrew Porter, which is actually very interesting in the sense where, first of all, no Tad Furlong. That's kind of interesting to see. He's not even he's on the bench, but and I understand why he's on the bench, obviously, because he's just coming back, and you kind of want to get him on as a replacement into the game rather than just putting him straight on, so I kind of agree with that selection. But yeah, overall I'd say it's kind of even in that sense. I'd probably edge it towards Ireland, purely on the basis that I think Porter and Healy are better props in a sense compared to what they have within Wales. But it's a very, very tight contest for sure, and there'll be a good battle within the scrum for sure. But yeah, even when you look at the hookers, with Ireland you have Rob Herring, but then within Wales you have Ken Owens, and I personally say Ken Owens is the better hooker in my opinion. I just think he's a lot more experienced in the sense, and he has very good line-out accuracy, so I'd definitely give it to him for that one. But yeah, in a sense, when you look at their locking positions, I think it's more. I wouldn't say it's more even in a sense where obviously you have Alan Wyn Jones, which is is obviously captaining the side, so he's definitely going to do a bit of damage, you could say, for the Welsh team. Even even if he gets older, he's still going to do well. He just reminds me of what I know there's a weird comparison, but what Tom Brady or even LeBron James, they're still doing it at their age. And yeah, he's one of those players within rugby who's still smashing it, you could say. So fair play to him, really. So he'll make a difference for sure within this game. And yeah, he's kind of the guy who I've listed down as the kind of key player in a sense where in goal, obviously, if they were to win this match, I think he'll play a big part to play within it. With the other lock position, they obviously have Alan Baird, and he's decent. But then when you actually look at Ireland, though, they do have James Ryan, who I really like as a lock. Obviously he's grown into a young lock, and now he's still young, obviously, but he still has so much potential, and he's just going to get better and better. So he's definitely one to look out for. And with his pairing is with Tag Burnley, and Burnley I wouldn't say he's the stronger lock in that sense, where they could have gone with someone like, I don't know, Henderson. I would have gone with, but I can see why you might have gone with him. But overall, I'd say that Wales, I think that's more even in the sense where you have Alan Wyn Jones and Ryan. But yeah, just moving on to the loose forwards. Yeah, with the loose forwards you have for Ireland, obviously you do have Peter Mamani, and you have Josh van der Veer, who is very good in the sense where I've watched many of his highlights. Very good player. And yeah, obviously CJ Standers. Yeah, that's a very good loose forward back there. Though I can definitely see them winning a lot of the a lot of penalties in that sense, as well as it matters on how well they do within the breakdown essentially. But yeah, Ireland should be pretty good within that area. But yeah, when you do look at Wales, they do have they have Dan Lay, and then they have Justin Tipperick, very good, and then obviously they have Faletau, who's just immense, and he's insane to watch. He's a great player to watch in general. But personally, I'd say Tipperick is my favourite out of the loose forwards for Wales. But yeah, it's a very strong loose forward pack. This is this is way closer in a sense where I would say when you look at when you compare each position, I'd say that Ireland win the 6 with Peter O'Mahony. But then when you look at 7, I'd probably give it to Tipperick over I'd probably say Tipperick's the better 7 when you compare it to the 7 with Ireland, which is obviously, Josh van der Veer. But when you actually look at the 8 position, it's Faletau versus CJ Stander. And I think at this moment, you would probably edge it towards CJ Stander. So that's why I would say they just edge it in that sense. But yeah, when you look at the 9 position, obviously for Ireland, you have Conor Murray, who's brilliant in that sense, where he's always been a very reliable scrum half to have up on your side. But then when you look at Wales, they also have Thomas Williams, and he's someone who I definitely think has gone up in the ranks. And obviously they had Gareth Davis, but obviously he's just not he's just not playing. I think he's on the bench, but that's good to see. I mean, like even just going back to it, sorry, just very quickly on the loose forwards. Navidi's also on the bench, so that's if he was on, then it might have been more in Wales' favour. Yeah, just with the 9 position, I think it's more even in the sense, but I'd probably give it to Murray in that sense. But yeah, moving on to 10. This is a key battle in the sense where you have Dan Biggar versus with Sexton obviously, and Sexton, I think Johnny Sexton is just obviously he's captain the side as well, so he has a huge part to play with in this match. I'd probably say at this moment Sexton's still the better player, but it's very tight in that sense. They'll definitely be key players in this and trying to just trying to make in this sense for the team with that back line. But yeah, moving on to the 11. So obviously for Wales, you do have Hidden Amos, who is a very good. I wouldn't say he's a very good winger. I mean, obviously he's still young, so he still has a lot of time in a sense. But I mean, if you do look at the number 11 for Ireland, I personally love him. I mean, James Lowe. I mean, I've seen him play a lot. I mean, even before he went to Ireland, he's a brilliant player. Just James Lowe. He's too good. He's too good. But anyway, we'll move on to the central combination. So, obviously for Wales, I would say they have a decent central combination. There is the big surprise that you could say in a sense, where obviously with 12 they've gone with Johnny Williams, but at 13 they've gone with George North. So that's a huge surprise in the sense where George North is obviously a 14 or even a 15 or 11, but 13 it's a very interesting call. Obviously Jonathan Davis is not playing. Well, I think he's on the bench, so it's an odd one in a sense of not having him, but I think actually he might just be injured from the game. Actually, that's what I meant. He's just not going to play. So yeah, George North he has big shoes to fill, but I think he can do it. George North is that kind of player who I think he will suit that position well. He kind of played that. When he scored 2 tries against France. I think it was 2 seasons ago in France. That was a good. He got 2 interception tries. So that's kind of what I think he'll do within this game, and I think 13 will suit him well. So I think that could work in a sense. But yeah, when you look at Ireland though, I mean, Ireland centres are pretty good. I mean, if you look at Robbie Henshaw and obviously Gary Ringrose, I mean, they have a lot of experience in that sense where they've a lot of chemistry, and I would probably edge it towards them purely on the basis that they have more chemistry with each other. But yeah, when you look at the number 14, obviously with Ireland you have Keith Arif, who's decent. I think he's around 33 at the moment, but he's still cracking on. He's a solid player. But I think I would probably give this one to Wales in the sense where I'm very excited to watch Lewis Rees-Zammit. He was very good to watch. Over the automations. He got a try to his. I think he got 2 tries to his name over the tournaments. That was good to see, and obviously he'll keep on improving. I think he's only 20, 21 at the moment, so he has a long way to go, and it's good. It's good for Wales in that sense. I mean, obviously the big one out of the wingers is just not to have Josh Adams, which is huge in the sense, but. I think they'll do well with Rees-Zammit in there. But yeah, with the 15 position, obviously it's a key one with Wales. They have Lee Halfpenny, who's a very good fullback in a sense where he's been very reliable for both Wales and you could say Lions in previous tours, especially the Australian tour. But yeah, with Australia with Ireland they have Hugo Keane, who's he's a decent I think he's like. He's like 24, I believe, at this time. So he's a long way to go. I haven't seen too much of him, to be honest, but I know that he's a decent fullback. So we'll see how he goes. But I'd probably edge that just towards to Lee Halfpenny for that one. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of it with the lineup. I mean, if I had to say who would win the game, I'd probably edge it towards. I think this will be a closest game than what everyone thinks. I think most people will say Ireland will win this by at least 15. I don't think it'll be that. I do think Ireland will win, but I think it'll only be by 5 points. So I'm going to say 25-20. Yeah, 25-20 is my final prediction. So 20-25 towards Ireland. So anyway, just guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Comment below what you guys think will be the score, and see you guys next time.